Alright, so here we are. We're in a 1990 ZR1 Corvette, and we've run into some computer problems. We've interrogated the ECM with a scanner where we found a memcal problem, a code 51. We've changed the EEPROM, the memcal on the car, and now we're going to interrogate the CCM to see what we can find in there. Now the procedure is fairly simple. Basically, we've placed a jumper between A and G, the positions A and G on the ALDL connector, which is found under the dash just above your right knee, which is basically the top right to the bottom left. You can do that with a wire or a pin of some kind. So what we're going to do now is going to just interrogate it by just putting the ignition to the start position. There we go. And everything should be displayed on the dash. So right away we're getting a H51, so that's stored in, an H41, which is stored in the history, which basically indicates that there's a communication failure between the CCM module, the central control module, and the ECM, which is the electronic control module. Chances are, it's very rare that the CCM would be defective. So in this case, we're leaning more towards having an ECM failure rather than a CCM failure. But we're going to run through the codes and see what we get. So here we go. Now the indication on the dash right now is 1.0, which basically is telling us that it's ready to do the query. By pushing the trip odometer button on the trip monitor, we're going to go to module 1.1. To advance that further is the ENG MET, and we're just going to run through that. So basically there's the history, H41, and as we push that, we see there's no other code stored in the 1.1 module. So let's move on to the 1.2, where again we're pushing by pushing the trip odometer button, and then the ENG MET button to advance through that module. So slowly we're going to advance, and I like to keep a record here to see if I'm going to miss anything. So it's basically going to test all the systems and see what kind of codes are generated. There we go. So now we're going to advance again by pushing the trip odometer button to module 1.3. And again by pushing the MET, slowly go through all the sequences. Now on the regular C4 Corvette, doing this procedure you can also get the ECM codes, the codes that are stored in the electronic control module, but unfortunately on the ZR1 you would need a scanner for that. This procedure only shows what's stored in the central control module, the CCM. Okay, so we've gone through module 1.3, now we're going to go through advance to 1.4 and go through the same procedure again by pushing the buttons on the trip monitor. There we go. Now you can do this as many times as you want, and there's no danger in shorting anything, or that's what it's there for. Alright, so we're finished that. Now it's going to do a little self-diagnostic. see what happens. We're back to the start. And it'll give us our summary. Eventually. Like I said, code 41 in the CCM is basically loss of ECM serial data communication. So one control the central control module is not speaking to the electronic control module. Chances are, like I said, it's the ECM, it's the electronic control module that's gone bad on the car. So the search begins for one of those. We have changed the EEPROM. What we're going to try and do before we commit to changing the ECM is we're going to clear the codes in the CCM on both ends, actually. The codes in the ECM and the CCM. Try a new EEPROM out and see what happens. But it doesn't look good for this one. The chances are it's the ECM module, and that could get quite disturbing to try and find one. So anyway, we're going to go through that and see what happens. Hope this helps.